A very quiet start to free agency for the Minnesota Wild, and it's all well and good that they're waiting on Dylan Larkin, but at some point, you got to make a choice because there are big holes that this team still needs to fill.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Toupal. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we take a look at the Central Division after a wild day of free agency, and in particular, the absolute mess that is going on in Dallas with the Stars. We will also talk about whether it is justified to be frustrated at the Minnesota Wild for their just lack of moves that have been made so far with big holes on the roster to fill. We will discuss the players that the Wild added, and also the players that they missed out on here today. Free agency was a whirlwind, and joining me today to break down some of the big moves that we saw, not only with the Wild, but also at large in the NHL, is Jayden Homuth. And Jayden, Bill Guerin, and we'll talk more about this in segment 2, but I just kind of want to tee it up to start. Bill Guerin said that the Wild were involved in a handful of things. There were a few trades that they pulled out of because of the price. There are some other things they're waiting to hear back on. And, there were some other players they were involved in that they didn't get. That might be, if you had to get a tattoo of one phrase that could summarize the Bill Guerin tenure, that might be it. Because this was kind of how free agency went last year. And I know free agency is not the primary method to build up a team. Just ask Nashville how that worked out for them a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's hard for another year. And free agency just by and large in the Bill Guerin tenure has not been fruitful. There's still plenty of time in the offseason to shore up some holes, but it's hard not to get at least a little frustrated based on how the start of free agency went.
Yeah. And I mean, you said it best. And the biggest problem that I have is I feel like every offseason, it's like he mentions a movie made prior, like, oh, that was our free agent signing. Like, oh, we locked up Kirill. That was our free agent signing this year. We're going to extend Quinn Hughes. That's our free agent signing this year. We got, I don't know. I feel it just happens all the time. And yeah, Minnesota's becoming a destination, but like today was to see Jaden Schwartz go right away and to see Anders Lee go and Matthias Michelli and just players go at a price that kind of surprised you because you're thinking that they're going to go for higher, but you're like, oh, the Wild could have done that. Especially with the glaring holes that you have. Like, it's not like we're missing a couple bottom six forwards. We're missing important pieces. And it's frustrating, for this to be the offseason that he was going to go all in and make sure that this team was a true contender come opening night. And right now, this team is worse than it was 2 months ago. This team is probably just a wild card team right now with fill-ins. You're going to have to really hope that all your eggs in the basket for Larkin pay off, and you're going to have to give up assets there too. So you're going to create holes by just filling that one hole right there. So I don't know really where they're going to go from here. I hope that they have a plan. There was some players that they were involved in today that they backed out on that I thought they were going to kind of take a shot for. Patrick Laine was one of them. I know prior to today that was a really big player that they were going to try to go after. That never came to fruition, and they kind of backed out of it around the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock hour, which I don't know. His ask is probably a little too high, but you can't go. You're going to put Ben Jones on the second line. You're going to put I don't know what you're going to do. And right now there's a line, projected lines right now. You're looking at Yurov, Stramel, and Height. And I don't trust that line in the NHL right now. I don't know. I don't know. So a lot of I don't know was coming out of my mouth today because I just kind of was waiting to see, and then yeah, I don't know. It's been a little weird day.
So let's start with Anders Lee, who the Minnesota Wild did make a pitch for. Like they presented him an offer, and he was it was one of the teams that he was looking at as far as the free agent process goes. But not only did he not sign here, he went to Utah for $5.4 million per year for 3 years. So you can say, okay, the $5.4 million may be a little on the rich side, but Matt Zuccarello takes a deal with the Los Angeles Kings. And I'm just going to flat out say this right now. There are a lot of people that are getting upset because they are treating this as a 1 year, $1 million deal, which it is not.
$6 million deal.
There are bonuses associated with the contract. Zuccarello gets a $5 million bonus if he plays 10 games this season. Now, there are some cap things that the Kings can do depending on where they're at with that bonus. So it may not be that all $6 million are on this year's cap, but even still, if you don't put all $6 million of it on this cap, you got to roll it over to next year. That's why Zuccarello signed in Los Angeles, and Vladimir Tarasenko going to free agency. I don't have a problem with the decision to move on from some of these guys. Like Zuccarello's getting up there in age. He has missed games every season. He misses routinely between 15 and 20 games every year. And at some point, that just becomes a lot to deal with. And Vladimir Tarasenko was kind of a dice roll that Billy did hit on. Like, let's give Billy credit that it worked out. But, it's one thing to get rid of these guys and say, well, we're getting rid of these guys because we're going to go this, and this as far as plugging in the spots. It doesn't feel like there is that right now. It feels like it is just kind of it feels like the plan this offseason has been, we're going to get Dylan Larkin and we're going to figure out the rest after that. But the problem is that Larkin is at the end of the road. And there is some stuff that you can be doing between now and then, but because you are so committed to it, it's either one or the other. And if you miss out on Dylan Larkin, you're going to have some issues when the season gets started.
Yeah, 100%. And that's my problem with throwing all the eggs in the basket for Larkin and then having it known that you don't really care to check in on Trocheck anymore. I feel like the Wild, like looking at the price Utah paid for Trocheck, I feel like, there was a world where you didn't need to really give up Urov in a first. But I mean, granted, Utah had the ability to give up a active NHL player right now in Sean Durzi who can play, and then someone who has a little bit higher upside than Stramel, and a third-round pick. But it doesn't seem to be the smartest move right now, especially with having to lose players because you're waiting to hear what someone with pretty unrealistic expectations and Stevie Y has on what he's going to answer back. So, you've already lost Zuccarello due to that and due to $17 million going to one player. You've just kind of created this weird feeling around the team. You're looking at the team and it just doesn't look complete at all. Like the first line looks great with Kirill, Eriksson, and Boldy, and then after that, it's just Brink, Hartman, and who on the second line? Like, I don't know. Like that's not good. And
yeah,
today you were able to trade Jake Middleton. It's July 1st, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of teams have their roster set. The market's probably not that big for them, but you got to dump that $4 million. Like you got to try to find ways to move it around. And I don't think Billy just sat on his hands today and didn't do anything. I'm sure he tried to do stuff today. I know he tried to do stuff today, but it was just very underwhelming when it comes to Anders Lee, Edina guy. You just assume he would want to come here.
Yeah.
And he wanted to call Billy to tell him he wasn't coming here. At least he did that. But it's kind of surprising because with the season they had and the hype they have, and with finally being a destination, you have Quinn Hughes. For players to not really want to play ball on a contract to come play here and try to win a championship is just kind of weird. So I mean, it's definitely not the feeling we were expecting to have today, but it's where we are. So we got to see what he does to fix it.
Yeah, and it's like it's on one hand the guys that you let go without really a plan to fill in their spots, but the guys that were retained as well, like that is the other part of this puzzle that is kind of a head scratcher. And I'll just say it right now. I think I have trended more in the positive direction for about the last year, basically ever since Quinn Hughes came in. But I'm going to tell you right now, Billy's loyalty to some of the guys that are on this roster is going to be his undoing. He has been loyal to a fault to these guys who I just feel like if you really look, you can probably upgrade in a lot of these spots. But is there a willingness to upgrade in those different positions is the $1 million question. Like, yeah, these guys are tradable, but is there a willingness to do that? Is a question that I think Billy's got to ask himself as the rest of this offseason unfolds. And that may be a question for another day, but I want to dive into the players that did resign, because there was one that came out of left field. There was another one that was more of a tooth pull than I think we thought it was going to be. And then there are a couple of others that are really going to get people going. So we'll take a look at what the Minnesota Wild did do as we continue to break down a frantic day of free agency that was mostly quiet on the Minnesota Wild front. We'll discuss all that as we continue today's episode of Locked on Wilds after this. Today's episode of Locked on Wild is brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now, FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. I'm going to tell you right now, if you are in need of a goal, just go find Lionel Messi. He is one of the best players in the world as far as soccer is concerned. He's pretty much a guaranteed goal at this point for Argentina. So find him and just take it to the bank. Lock it in. You will not be disappointed. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked on Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked on Wild your first listen each and every day. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got new episodes for you every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll dive into some of the two-way contracts that the Wild signed for you tomorrow, as well as any other moves that may happen between now and then. As Bill Guerin said, it is early in the process, but Jayden, the free agent crop for the Wild at this point is Bobby Brink. After he was not tendered a qualifying offer, he does take a little bit of a discount to stay for $2.75 million. Zach Bogosian is back for $1.25 million. Nick Foligno is back for $900K. And Mason Shaw is back for $850K for the Minnesota Wild. They do also get, and this one I am completely fine with, Calvin Pickard for $1 million for 1 year as the injury fill-in for Philip Gustafson. I'm assuming Pickard will just go on waivers and maybe to Iowa after Gustafson returns. And we knew it was going to be somebody with NHL experience that was filling in for Gus. So that one I don't have any problem with. And even these signings by themselves, Nick Foligno, $900K to be your 13th forward, fine. That's not one that should get you, super riled up. Mm-hmm. Zach Bogosian, though, at $1.25 million, and then all of these together, it's like that's where people kind of get confused and are like, bring the band back together. But all these guys, they get a little older, they get a little less durable. It's like, again, I just feel like you could go case by case and you could probably point to an upgrade, but they're Billy's guys, and he just does not seem like he is willing to entertain the possibility of upgrading.
Yeah, the one that I had a big problem with today was re-signing Zach Bogosian at that price point. I don't see why he couldn't have taken the 900,000 either. Marcus Johansson was playing on 800,000 last year, and he had a great season. With how Zach's season ended, he was really hurt. His role on the team really should be a seventh defenseman. Giving him 1.25 is kind of crazy to me. I think that there's no way that he couldn't have accepted that minimum. And that money adds up. So it's just, it kind of just makes you wonder. Mason Shaw, I tweeted out good vibes, bringing him back. And, he's a good penalty killer. He's a good call-up guy. It's just he's had really bad injury luck with his knee. Obviously, when I started with Locked On Wild, it was 2023. That was his last go-around with the Wild because he got hurt right before the season ended. Calvin Pickard, I really like that one just because that's a backup you can sort of you could trust him to just get you through until Gus comes back. And he'll get a lot of reps in Iowa. So I don't know. The Zach Bogosian one just kind of bugged me at that price point. I was fine bringing him back. I just don't think that was the correct price point to do it at. And then obviously, Bobby Brink, I was happy that they brought him back. He shouldn't be a second line forward. And imagine if they lost him. If he decided to want to go to the market today, that would have been bad. I don't know. It's just it's weird today. You look at all their two-way signings. They put a lot of work into Iowa today. Almost seems like they put more work into Iowa than they did Minnesota. But I don't know. I'm just there's a couple names left, but Anthony Mantha's not coming to Minnesota. His price will be too high. He's not going to come from the West. Again, Patrick Kane, but I don't see why he would want to come here now. He would probably much rather want to go to Toronto had an amazing day today. I am a hater of GMC over there, but he knocked it out the park today, and he's had a great start to his 10 years. So I don't see why Patty Kane wouldn't want to go play in Toronto or go back home to play in Buffalo.
Buffalo, I was going to say Buffalo is one that has been linked heavily to Patrick Kane.
It's his hometown. Why wouldn't he want to go back? So I just don't see that happening. In the trade market, the problem with trades is you're gaining pieces, but you're losing pieces. So you're filling. It's kind of like if you were laying a brick wall and you ran out of the. You're missing a brick, so you took one from here and you put it here. Okay, now you're missing a brick here. So then you take one from down here, you put it there, and now you're missing a brick down there. So it's just kind of like I don't know what you do right now. So again, the pickings are slim right now. They were already slim to start with, but like you said, his pull to some of these players is astonishing. He loves Gus Nyquist, brought him back twice. He really likes Zach Bogosian at that price point. And then it's funny because that's his thing, right? But he was very quick to tell Mats that, we're good. We don't need you anymore.
Well, he was quick to say we're not going to re-sign you, but he was not quick to tell Zuccarello that because
that's the problem. Yeah, because I guarantee you Matt Zuccarello would have played ball with a contract. He's making $6.5 million in LA. Unless he plays 9 games this year, which that's impossible. And I promise you he could have signed at $2.5-3 million for a year in Minnesota. He would not have been wanting $5-6 million in Minnesota. He would have been fine. But Bill Guerin decided that he didn't want him and waited to tell him, and it kind of rubbed Zuccarello the wrong way. I mean, regardless of what he said today on the workplace Zoom, that kind of bugged him. He said he was, Zuccarello is really good with his words. When he says grumpy and sad, he was grumpy and sad. He was not.
Yeah.
So, and it's just going to be, it's just, there's the excitement level since game 1 against Colorado has just slowly gone down and down and down. And the doubt is just creeping back in. And Billy's kind of in a hole right now, and we got to see how he's going to get himself out.
And again, I stress there is plenty of time. So Billy could make moves between now and the start of the regular season that I play this episode back, and I'm like, hey, look how big of an idiot I was.
And me.
At this point in the offseason.
Yeah.
Like you, at this point, according to Puckpedia, you have like $3.6 million in cap space. You got to get an offer. You got to get a contract done for Damon Hunt, and you need a first line wing. You need a second line or first line center. You need another wing. Like you have big moves that need to be filled, and there is not a lot to go around to fill those spots.
Yeah, there's not. And like we have so much money invested in that bottom 6 and that last D pair. And I just ship them out. You don't need them. Like the AJ McCarron, I'm too football brained right now. Got season coming up. The Michael McCarron signing was great. I loved it. But you don't need to pay Trenyon what you're paying him. I love Marcus Foligno, but like too bad you can't restructure NHL contracts. He's really high right now on a price point. Like you can get rid of Middleton and Trenyon and maybe a Marcus, but I think it would be kind of mean to get rid. It wouldn't be, I'm not saying it's a fair business, but Nick Foligno was really deciding these last 6 weeks since the Wild were eliminated if he really wanted to dedicate another year to the grind of being a professional athlete. And he wanted this last year with his brother, so like a full year. So I think trading Marcus would that wouldn't just rub Nick the wrong way. Players see what GMs do to teams, and they kind of recognize like, oh, I don't want to go play there. That was kind of messed up. So you can't do that. That'll give yourself bad PR on the league. But there's $8.9 million you can free up tomorrow.
Yep.
And you can find a player that has almost a similar output as Trenyon, maybe just a little less heavy. You can find him for 1.85 on the market right now.
Yeah.
There's a player that has a similar output to Jake Middleton that you can find for $2 million right now. And then you can take that $6.5 million and get yourself a second line winger. Like there's things you can do that just aren't being done.
Yeah.
And you can't be complacent. And today, like I'm going to call out Bill right now. He was saying, we were a good team. We're still a good team. You're not a good team right now. You were a good team. You weren't the best team. You were a good team. You made it out the first round. And now all you've done is lose people. You haven't added one person besides Calvin Pickard and Mason Shaw. And the only reason I don't include the other guys is because they probably won't play for the stays in Iowa. So
no, you have something like 140 points that need to be from last year, and you've got Tarasenko's 23 goals, you've got Zuccarello's 15-ish goals, Marcus Johansson's 15 goals. Like, yeah, it's great if you want to lean on your defense and try to allow further goals to make up for that, but this is something that Quinn Hughes, I'm sure, is keeping an eye on very closely.
Oh, definitely. He was looking at today and probably wasn't like, I don't like to mention their name, but New Jersey had a great day. Like people look at this. So
yeah,
New Jersey had a really good day. Toronto had a really good day. LA had a pretty good day. Columbus had a great day just because of the news they received that
Yeah.
You know, they weren't going to let the media push them apart, and Werenski's going to stay. A bunch of teams had good days, and funny enough, I feel like the teams that had the worst days today were Dallas and Minnesota. Well, Dallas has had a couple of weeks, but we're going to get into that. But yeah,
I was going to say, I know one team that is having a worse time than the Minnesota Wild right now, and it's the Dallas Stars.
Yeah,
also, Chicago. Ian Cole for $4.75 million in 2026.
Got to hit that cap floor.
That, I guess. I mean, good on them, but that is rich. That is very rich as far as salary goes. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Dallas Stars, the mess that they currently occupy, and some of the other moves that we saw from a busy day of free agency. That's all coming up as we finish today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Decagon. As companies grow, customer support gets complicated. More customers means more questions, more channels to manage, and higher expectations for fast, personalized service. That is usually when businesses start looking at AI. But most solutions either feel too generic or take forever to implement. That's where Decagon comes in. Decagon helps companies create personalized, concierge-style customer service experiences with AI agents across chat, email, voice, and SMS. Their agents are available 24/7, feel natural to talk to, and can resolve customer requests on their own, helping businesses scale support without losing that personal touch. The best customer experiences don't happen by accident. Whether it's in business or sports, people recognize organizations that respond quickly, understand context, and make every interaction feel personal. Ready to transform your customer support? Go to decagon.ai/lockedonnhl to get a personalized demo and see what Decagon can do for your team. That's decagon.ai/lockedonnhl. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got new episodes for you every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Jayden, let's talk about the Dallas Stars, who are currently being held over a barrel by Jason Robertson. There really is no other way to describe it. And they have their price point. Robertson has his price point. Robertson turned down a very lucrative offer from Seattle and rejected a trade there. Zach Werenski, there was a trade that was done with the Dallas Stars that would have sent Thomas Harley and other assets to Columbus in exchange for Zach Werenski. That trade was nixed. That Columbus saga where, hey, Werenski wants to leave. No, turns out he actually doesn't want to leave. It's like when you get in a fight with your significant other and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to see other people. And you get like one date in and you're like, this is not for me. Yeah, this is not for me. This is wrong. Yeah. Truly just a bizarre scenario. But, you know, another one, Maverick Bourque headed to the Nashville Predators. So the Dallas Stars, if I'm Jim Nill, I'm not too happy about how things have played out so far this offseason.
Not at all. And, you know, we can sit here and be upset with Billy, but yeah, Jim's in a tough spot today. He said the same thing kind of today is just kind of weird. This is going to be an offseason of trades for them to try to make things work just because, you know, there's been a whole like not being able to like you can say this is Jason Robertson's fault, but like they signed Thomas Harley to a very lucrative contract. And I feel like it would have been smarter to bridge him to Tyler Seguin's release or when he expires to where you can use that $9 million to kind of put that towards Thomas and kind of be a little bit more financially responsible there. Granted, the Dallas Stars have had a lot of draft picks hit recently, which causes you to have to pay some players that you didn't really expect you're going to have to pay. Maverick Bourque, Wyatt Johnson, Thomas Harley. So like when it comes to that, like, yeah, they're kind of, I mean, shout out Chris McFarland right now. He's building a really hard team to play against in Nashville when it comes to that bottom six. Jack Drury's a great defensive center. You got Ross Colton, and now you got Maverick Bork. He's going to be there. And like you said earlier in the show, they still have all their riches from free agency 2 years ago when they went out and got the 3 of the top 5 free agents. So things will click there eventually. But yeah, Jason Robertson's kind of holding them hostage. They're trading some players they probably want to keep just because. And right now, even after that trade, they only have $11 million in cap space. So you're going to still have to trade somebody because Jason Robertson's not signing for less than 14. I don't believe he is.
No.
So, you're going to have to get rid of another person. And now with this whole Zach Werenski thing, really good news for Wild fans because Werenski and Dallas would have sucked, but especially Werenski playing with Heiskanen, and he didn't want to go there. And now you got Thomas Harley, who you signed to that contract, who's like, oh, well, you don't want me. You were quick to give me up. So now I don't know. Dallas is in a weird situation. Can't say I feel bad because Minnesota's going through the same thing. I mean, maybe that's a little bit worse, but I don't know. Dallas is a mess right now.
And at least the Minnesota Wild didn't give Bowen Byram $12.5 million per year. Like,
yeah,
I put it out on X earlier today. Brock Faber's making $4 million less than Bowen Byram.
Yeah, I will say though, Bowen Byram, he has upside. I don't think he's going to be better than Brock Faber, but 12.5 is very steep for what he's done so far in his career. He's showed his flashes. I think you could have bridged him and kind of gave him a prove-it contract in a way that, he was in Colorado when he started. He was behind Girard and Makar. Well, I don't know why I put Girard before Makar, but he had Kirill Makar. He can't be that, this is my blue line on the offense. Like, he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Buffalo where they got Rasmus Dahlin. So he can't do that there. So now he has the ability to really own a team's blue line and be that power play quarterback and be that go-to guy on defense that's going to push the offense. So I think obviously he didn't want that, but I would have tried to maybe explain this to him. Like, hey, look, like this is your blue line now. Like we can do 3 by 7.5 or something just to give you those years to really, and then you can cash in. And Kyle Davidson would probably be willing to cash him in at the end of that if he proves that he is one of those type of players. So, 12.5 is really rich right now, but I do think he could kind of fill the shoes of a $9 million defenseman on his own because he has the skill, but he's never had the platform because he's always been he's played with Makar and Dahlin. It's hard to kind of take over as your own player in a team like that.
And who are we to judge overpaying players that you value?
Exactly. Like, out of anybody, I am very annoyed with this whole Kirill thing. And I made the joke before the recording, nobody take this too serious, but I think the Wild should send Kirill to LA to play with his buddy Mats, and we can get Adrian Kempe and Kevin Fiala back. I think that would make this team 10 times better than it is right now. So, and maybe that's too much of an ask. Maybe throw in a first too. You can take first and Kirill $17 million.
Kirill is going to score 75 goals and have 150 points this season. Matt Boldy's going to have a 50-goal season. It's all going to work out. Billy's got the trade that nobody's expecting waiting in the wings. And again, at least we're not being held over the coals by Jason Robertson at this point. There's a lot of free agency left. There are not a ton of options available, so we'll kind of reassess what is still available in the morning, and we'll take a look at some of those two-way contracts that the Wild signed. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Jayden, pleasure as always to have you on. I got some things cooking to start up after the 4th, so stay tuned, and of course I'll fill Jayden in on those as well. So stay tuned for that coming up next week. But for now, a quiet start to free agency. Will there be more moves made? We'll find out as we continue to guide you through the offseason right here on Locked On Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.